because I think that Copenhagen showed us also that powerful countries and developed countries do not commit indeed with the multilateral agreements. And instead of following the agreements, instead of respect the convention, instead of respect the Kyoto Protocol, which classified the Annex I countries as the big responsibles of this big catastrophe, they go on with national plans that really frightened me. They have increased their military budget in a way that never has been in history. If you can follow how they are deciding to strengthen their military budget, it's really very suspicious. And it is not only in the US. Of course, the US has increased the most, but also in Europe, in some Arabic countries, Middle East. Thank you very much. Middle East countries, and Canada, Australia. You just get into the internet and see how it is going on. And the first thing that shocked to me after Copenhagen was Haiti. And Haiti shows us, even though it hasn't been a consequence of climate change, it is a consequence, in first, of poverty, of vulnerability, of a huge debt, because Haiti has been devastated by French colonialism, and after that by the US forces, capitalism. They robbed all their natural resources and their strength of work of those people. And they are suffering so much after the earthquake. 200,000, more than 200,000 people died, as you may know. And the first reaction of all over the world was, of course, solidarity. We all say we have to support, but the real response was military, was occupation. And in Chile, you have seen also, they suffered also a very, very strong earthquake just 2 weeks ago. And the response there was also military. So what's going on here? Through these lessons, through the reflections that you just addressed in this table, as you have been saying, we have to strengthen the social tissue. We have to strengthen the control of our daily lives and of our communities. I have been in Cuba, in La Habana, right after the Hurricane Mitch invited for a meeting there. And I was really very afraid to get there after a hurricane. I said, oh, probably the conference is going to get cancelled. But surprisingly, when I get there, it seems to be that nothing has been happened. And they have, of course, we have a lot to talk about democracy. We have a lot to talk about politics and the Cold War and everything. But related to social organization, probably Cuba is one of the most interesting country, as well as the northern countries like Norway, Sweden, and so on, because they invested in social control, community control, and that's very, very important. We have to strengthen that. Of course, we have to advocate a lot of issues inside the negotiations in order to the developed countries have to pay their climate debt to mitigate, reducing, for adaptation, giving funds to our countries. But we don't have to lose the perspective that in these years the situation is going to be harder, and we need to strengthen our humanity relationships, and the knowledge that a lot of communities have kept for many thousands of years to take care of communities, to take care of Mother Earth. In my country, for instance, we just approved a new constitution last year, 1 year ago, where living well is a principle. It is already inside our constitution, and it means that we don't have to expect that development is endless. We don't have to think that the world resources are endless. They are finishing, and yearly we consume 30% more than the nature is able to renew. And it began in the 80s when the Washington Consensus has a successful intervention all over the world, and the vision that everything is a merchandise was worldwide successful, and the corporations are working on it, and that there is the real causes of climate change. So what you have been thinking, saying about the false solutions, it is truth. We as communities, for instance, in Bolivia, we have a lot of natural resources. We have a lot of forests. We belong to the Amazon, and our Amazon is really safe. And we are bringing oxygen to the world. We are bringing a lot of resources to the world. But that's our knowledge. Our, how can I say, our sacrifice to keep this world in that conditions. And it is not fair, of course, that just some countries or some companies just buy those carbon bonus, and say, okay, we are doing any for find a solution. That's not a solution. That's a false solution, as well as are the biofuels. Also, this is a big threat in our country. When you see in the map and the area where Brazilians are pushing to produce agrofuels is going in drought very, very fast. And that's why we really are very challenged to change this. And I think that most of the responses are in the cities all over the world, because the cities are the nests where consumption is very savage. We just break the relationship with nature in the cities, and we have to recover it. And the role of women, especially workers, especially indigenous, especially color women, are very close of care, and that's, I think, that we have to recover and to strengthen to face this global crisis, which is not only climate, it is climate, environmental, agriculture, feed, migration, and so on. And the other thing that I would like just to close these comments is the other hand that the developed countries are investing in is all the rules on immigration. That's very symptomatic also, because some years ago, for instance, in Europe, they approved the directive return directive, which allows them just to catch up all the undocumented immigrants, and to get them for almost 2 years into jail until bring them back to their countries. And in the US also, the immigration rules are getting more and more strong and hard. And climate change is going to bring a lot of currents of immigration. the islands are disappearing. And in our countries inside, in Bolivia, we already have climate refugees in the cities. And this is a phenomenon that is going to be grown all the time. So if we don't find the ways also, not only to strengthen the community control, the community solidarity, but also to influence the national politic in our countries, especially in the north, probably we'll not be able to be prepared for this climate crisis. Okay, for the moment that's it.
Yes, I think next, yeah. Great.